What's good everyone, it's Kajani with a guide on how to make gil for Final Fantasy XIV patch 6.2. In this video, I will go over how to make gil with crafting, gathering, or by running other activities in Final Fantasy XIV. When you are trying to make gil in Final Fantasy XIV, it's always good to diversify, and with this video, I will give you plenty of options. Let's start the video with ways to make gil without crafting or gathering. Your quick and easy options include running your dailies to get clusters that you can trade in for materia, and desynthing gear that drops from level 90 dungeons into crafting materials. Patch 6.2 is a raid tier, so combat materia will be in demand as serious raiders will need to meld and then overmeld their gear. Of course, review the market board before trading in clusters for materia, but the materia that should be selling are the grade 10s, specifically the ones that increase critical hit and direct hit. Critical hit is always popular, but direct hit is popular this time around due to the changes in damage calculations for jobs that have attacks that guarantee direct hits and critical hits. So even warriors are now melding direct hit into their gear. By desynthing level 90 gear that drops from dungeons, you'll get crafting materials released in this expansion to sell on the market board. The most coveted item that you'll receive through desynthesis is a mutable solution. This crafting material is still in demand as it's used to craft the pack maker, crafting, and gathering gear. Desynthing gear from the newest dungeon released in patch 6.2 has a possibility to give you crafting materials that are found in the number 9 master recipe book. These materials are also used to craft the pack maker, crafting, and gathering gear. As you are running your roulettes and earning lots and lots of tomes of astronomy, you can make gil by using these tomes to purchase and sell crafting mats that are sold by Sihanti and Razidhan. These mats are primarily used to craft the new raid gear, so sell as many mats as you can while the gear is still in demand. If you ever reach the point where you have extra tomes of astronomy, you can also purchase the radiant gear sold by Sihanti, then desynth the gear into crafting materials that you can then sell on the market board. Another way to make some gil is by farming the dancing plague for dancing wings. Dancing wings are crafting materials that drop from the fight and are used to craft the phase crown weapons that were introduced in this patch. If you aren't having any luck with any drops, you have a chance of receiving a dancing wing by desynthing the weapons that also drop from the fight. The higher your desynth skill is, the higher the probability of receiving a dancing wing. You should have plenty of chances to get a dancing wing as the fight should only take like 2 minutes when running it unsynced at level 90. And my last suggestion to make gil without crafting or gathering is by running maps for an opportunity to get the exciting leather. It's a crafting material introduced in patch 6.2 that is used to craft the Lawless Enforcer glamour set. It's a nice looking set overall, and new glamour items always sell really well. Now let's continue the video with how to make gil with your crafters in patch 6.2. Quick and easy options are running your custom deliveries and then using your white and purple scripts to purchase materia and immutable solution. Crafting materia always sells, but don't sleep on gathering materia as well. It is in demand this patch due to the higher than expected breakpoints. As it stands right now, your gear will have to be melded some type of way in order to gather at legendary nodes. Furthermore, a lot of players still won't be able to make the breakpoints without some sort of food. So there's opportunities to make gil by crafting gathering food that helps players boost their stats. 2 of the most popular foods to consider crafting are listed on the screen, as well as popular foods that crafters are currently using. Since it's a raid tier, there is a lot of gil to be made by selling raid food and grade 7 potion. I went on the balance to look at all the foods for each respective job, and I listed them on the screen here. Whenever a new raid tier is released, selling raid food and potions should make you a significant amount of gil. As you can see, you have plenty of options, so be sure to diversify. If you like, you can try to sell the raid gear that was released in this patch. Keep in mind that the demand for raid gear will decrease as the expansion progresses. It's honestly a lot easier to craft and sell the intermediary materials used to craft the raid gear than full sets of raid gear themselves. If you want to make a lot of gil with your crafters and you have the patience for expert recipes, then I recommend that you check out crafting the components for the water otter fountain. Just so you know what you're getting into, these expert recipes are rather difficult with the current gear that is available. However, if you are persistent enough, there is gil to be made by selling these components. Let's move on to how to make gil with your Disciple of Land. Let's say you don't care about crafting the water otter fountain. Well, you can make a lot of gil just by gathering the glyoaether, which are crafting materials used to make the components. For Botanist and Miner, using ethereal reduction on prime and sublime collectibles is one way that you can receive glyoaether. For your Fisher, using ethereal reduction on the Maya shell is the other way for you to get glyoaether. Be advised that the drop rates for glyoaether from anything other than a sublime collectible are pretty low. But the potential gil that you can make though makes gathering glyoaether worth the effort. So if you don't care about expert recipes, you can still make a good amount of gil by selling glyoaether that you can get from the Maya shell and from prime and sublime collectibles. As far as easy ways to make gil with your gathering jobs, you can start with gathering the various aether sands that were introduced in patch 6.0. They are still relevant since they can be used to craft the new high-end raid gear, potions, and raid food. Once demand for raid gear goes down, you can still make gil by selling Moonlight Aether Sand. The other aether sands are used to craft the high-end raid gear, while Moonlight Aether Sand is used to craft grade 7 potions, raid, and high-end crafting and gathering food. So you can expect Moonlight Aether Sand to remain in demand throughout the patch. An easy way to make gil with your Fisher is to farm the Thavnerian Calamari. It's in demand because it's used to craft the high-end crafting and gathering food used in patch 6.2. Luckily, it's a fish that's really easy to catch and always available. It can be found in the Perfume Tides fishing node located in the northwest corner of the Thavnerian coast. Your bait of choice will either be mackerel strips or a versatile lure. Lastly, there were a handful of new materials that were introduced in patch 6.2 that can be gathered from legendary nodes. You can make gil by selling these items, however, you need to keep in mind that these crafting materials are all used to craft the new high-end raid gear. So when the demand for gear drops, the demand for these new crafting items will drop as well. So that's all I have for this video. Hopefully this gil making guide for Final Fantasy XIV patch 6.2 will point you in the right direction. I will catch y'all in the next video. Until next time, peace.